Mr. Adkisson, you and I have talked a lot about the leaky bucket report that the Chamber has put out. And one of the three elements is state employee benefits, specifically health care. And I think some statistics here, it costs more than $1.2 billion a year. And that health insurance, which covers retirees as well as current state employees and teachers, covers about 6% of Kentuckians. And but yet that money is about 12% of the state's general fund. What do you want to see as kind of the next step to address that by the legislature?
Well, I think a key word here is sustainability. The retirement and health care systems that we have traditionally, not just in Kentucky, but other states, have offered public employees have grown, and they've become more generous in good times. And then all of a sudden we're looking at a situation, not just because of the recession, but because of the world economy and everything that we're going through and trends in the private business community, where we question whether or not we can sustain those trends. And so when our leaky bucket report came out and it showed that the amount that was being paid for public employee health benefits had grown 5 times faster than the state's budget and 5 times faster than the state's economy over the last 10 years, it gets your attention. So wait a minute, we just can't afford to do that. So in the 2010 session last year, the legislature, I think, did a remarkable job of capping the amount of money. The net effect of that, in other words, they capped the amount in the budget that they were willing to give to the administration to spend.
And then the administration has to figure out how to do that.
That's right. Initially, the governor vetoed it, and I asked him, I said, now why did you veto that? The legislature did the tough work for you. He said, well, they had tied my hands on how we were going to do it, but we still have to hit that budget number. And he was right in that sense. But they came back and, in effect, encouraged more employees to take the individual basic coverage. In other words, the state said, we're going to continue to give you 100% individual coverage. And by the way, in the private business community, very few companies give you 100% anymore. But we're not going to continue to subsidize those richer plans, the so-called Cadillac plans. So that was a positive move in the right direction. One of the most positive things that came was what the teachers' retirement system did on their own. They called in the teachers' union and the school boards and the school administrators and various groups and the legislature and said, look what the health costs are doing to our retirement system. And so they negotiated a package and brought it to the legislature. The legislature very quickly and efficiently passed that because it was a negotiated package that shores up the retirement side of the teachers, but it cost more to teachers on the health benefits. So for example, my wife, who's a retired teacher who's not yet 65, she got 100% of her coverage last year. This year has to pay about $34 a month, I think. Next year it goes to $81. The next year it goes to $132 or something like that. So she's having to chip in more for her health care, but that ensures the stability of her retirement benefit.
So from the Chamber's point of view, are those things enough to address that part of the leaky bucket?
In terms of the teachers' retirement system, which as you know is different from the state employees' retirement system, that appears to be on a very stable situation, and to use my term there, sustainable. And if it's sustainable, that's a very good thing. On the other side, no, more work needs to be done. It is not sustainable what we're paying out. And yes, we favor moving it toward a 401k type system.
On the pension system for other state employees,
for the pension system,
yeah.
Right. We'll have to see how the health benefits with these budget cuts and all, how that continues to put pressure on the state's budget. But in terms of retirement, yes, we favor moving for future employees, moving toward a defined contribution plan.
And of course, a lot of focus has been on the entire healthcare industry, largely because of what Congress did last year and the bill that the President signed into law, the healthcare bill. The Chamber, you all aren't so sold that that was a good thing for, or at least for businesses, is that right?
Yes, we actually opposed the version that came out of the House in Washington.
And explain why.
Well, it was, I think business people in general are suspicious of government taking over a big chunk of something that has been provided by the private community. So there was that. Some of it was ideological, some of it was people concerned about specific parts of it. And it was more government involvement than the Senate version. And so the Senate version was more palatable, but there was generally still a lot of suspicion and concern about it. As to, we haven't polled our members in terms of how they stand relative to the current effort in the House to repeal health care. You know, that's going to get through the House, but probably stopped in the Senate, certainly by the President. It's a number one concern among business people because the health insurance premiums are continuing to go up, and it takes you out of, it hurts a company's ability to compete, especially in a global marketplace. So there's continuing concern and nervousness about this huge transformational move by government to take over health care.
But essentially, as the Chamber's noted in some of its reports, I mean, we really don't know how some of those things will play out until those federal regulations are
Absolutely.
written. So
this is truly a case where the devil's going to be in the details, and the details will roll out over a period of at least a couple of years.